All right, here we go. Art for inspiration, brand spanking new. Today we're going to be talking about a very epic run of books. A little bit older, unless you're an old head like me. Slaine, the Horned God, by Simon. Here we go. All right, Simon Bisley. All right, so first off, it's not going to be over this little mini series put out by Fleetway back in, I think it was like 1989 or maybe 90. I remember buying these. This was actually my first introduction to the biz way back. And then I think after that, I had a buddy who sent me a bootleg saddle stitched version of his 2000 AD, that robots. I forgot the name of it already, but anyways, the robot book where he was very, very technical with his inks and that. Yeah, so I've had these books for years. These are beater copies. I would like to know who Fleetway was using for printing because these books are really nice. Like I said, they're beater readers, and they look pretty mint. I mean, for the most part, they've been abused, and they still, they hold about a 9.4. So, anyways, yeah, I had decades of thinking this is what the original art looked like, and I remember showing this stuff to art instructors of mine. I was taking some college level courses, some college art classes when I was still in high school, prior to working at Extreme Studios in '94. I remember bringing this stuff to class, and the teachers, well, one in particular, was like, why are they like they were pointing out the influence that they saw of Frazetta in this work, but they were also pointing out that the artist was really scared of committing to using black in their palette and so forth. And yeah, like I said, for decades I had thought that was the case. I had thought that Simon was possibly just getting acquainted with materials for doing painted work, whatever that may be, whatever materials they are. Probably a lot of acrylic, but a lot of other stuff too. Pencil, color pencil, I'm not really sure. Pencil for sure, you can see right here. But yeah, so you look at the printing, real light, real light. All the information's there, but the covers, crazy vivid, nice, gorgeous reproductions of the covers, right? But for some reason, it's like, oh, he shifted. The interiors are really light. Around this time, there was you didn't have digital scans of paintings and stuff. You had to set up your lights at 245s, and you shot on like 35 millimeter, right? And that's how they were reproducing these pages. Was they would get the original. And you'd have to do your own film. You'd have to do film separation on all the colors and that for plate printing and that. Yeah, these covers are pretty cool. There's 1, 2, and 3, 4. This is my favorite cover actually of the bunch. 5, and then for some weird reason, this bothered me even back in the day. You get who's this? Mark Sasso. You get this painting that is not Bisley on the cover, but it is Simon, the epic horse. Simon can draw horses better than anybody, in my opinion. And this is 19, like I said, 89, 90 or whatnot. But yeah, so this run of books, it has hundreds of times that I've thumbed through them. They've been on my desk plenty while I'm working. They're just really nice pieces to look at. Cool, cool and complete, I'll say. You got dynamic shots. Obviously, he was coloring his own work with the painted stuff. And this precedes the Lobo miniseries that made him skyrocket in popularity in the States, at least. I think it was already a deal in the UK for the 2000 AD books. Okay, so what I'm going to actually be looking at, though, miniseries I showed you, This is the 2011 hardcover, which until recently was the best version that you could get of this run collected. They also did a 2000 AD, also did a softcover. This has to be in my collection as a hardcover because it's so damn epic. It needs that, right? But recently I know that they've done a crowdfund for an edition of this, which is actually, I believe it's about 2 or 3 inches larger on all sides than this edition here. But I've thrown so much money into Slaine, I really didn't need it, to be quite honest. And I saw the bonus stuff that's in it. I believe it's all the same stuff that's in here. So yeah, if you are gonna look for this run of books, if you're on a very limited budget, this shouldn't be too hard to acquire. I feel like it's mostly artists that are picking these up, not really readers. It's a really super basic story as far as like barbaric adventure fantasy. This doesn't reinvent the wheel in any way. It's nothing in here that you wouldn't expect to see in a Conan book. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But yeah, so the 2011 hardcover put out by 2000 AD. I have no idea what the price point is on this specific edition nowadays. You do get the dust jacket, and then the interior. You get a little bit of some gold ink here, some gold ink printing, and then a gold ink emboss on the back as well. I'll leave this on here. Pretty cool interior splash there. So we're here for the art. I'm gonna skip over this stuff. All right, here we go. Check this out. So young me was thinking Simon was getting his bearings as far as like what to do on canvas and paper as an artist. Look at the difference here. Now, this is like modern, I'd say like 04, 05. Printing jumped leaps and bounds as far as what was the capabilities were of a web press. You also got Flexo and all that, Flexi press. This was the capabilities 1990, prior to Image Comics really changing the game where coloring is concerned. It was Image Comics, by the way. Image Comics is the ones that really pushed the boundaries of coloring. I know that's another talk, but Marvel and DC were on the coattails of Image trying to keep up with quality as far as look at all these extra colors you can do this and that. But yeah, painted work. Yeah, you can really see like this is an insane difference. Like this almost looks like a completely redrawn or repainted piece. It's not. This is just what it should have looked like from the get. And you can see that on the covers. For whatever reason, the covers were given all the love, and the interiors are just, it looks like a 25-30% white screen put on top of it. It's insane. So yeah, let's check this out. Just wanted to point that out in case you're like, oh, this is the cheaper option. Just you're getting a washed out book, right? So yeah, we're just gonna thumb through this. And Simon is a master. Like that's so awesome to see it, to see this all color corrected on the page, on the printed page. It is really a treat. I bought this when I moved, let's see, Arizona, so it'd be like probably 2015. So I was 2 years late getting this edition as well. 3 years maybe, but yeah, now you can really see the rich, vivid colors that Simon applied to the canvas. And yeah, it's just really fun. I don't know the sizes. I've never seen one of these originals in person. I don't know the size that he was working at, but definitely has a that UK feel as far as like the dimensions. I know, like magazine, it's like magazine size. That's why the American books, the standard comics, you got so much white border on the top and the bottom. It's because they had to compensate for the width as not to cut off any wide area panel work. Yeah, highly recommend if you're interested in this book. Yeah, try to get. I think there was another soft cover that came out in like 2013 or 14 from 2080, I think. I would recommend that. I'm sure it's the exact same source files used for this right here. But also, I have seen and held a copy in hand of the most recent crowdfund collection, and that one is actually the one I would recommend. But if you can find this, if this is the cheaper option, I would say this would be fine. It is larger than a standard size comic, but the newest one is closer to like almost like an artist edition, but just a tad small. It's not quite as big as an artist edition. Yeah, this is just really, really awesome work by Simon. I love these panels right here. It's great. Yeah, I remember though showing off these books, trying to show like one of my influences as a young teen. I was like, hey, look at this. What was I, 13 or 14 when these books were coming out? And I remember showing that one, instructor I had at the college, and they were like, oh, yeah, they're really a big fan of Frazetta. And I think at the time I was like, oh, the book cover artist. Like, I didn't have much knowledge of Frank. We didn't have the internet, guys. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have comic shops that were trying to slew old school product and tell us what artists were good or not. They were selling, mainstream normie Web of Spider-Man, what came out this week. That was my what I was able to collect at the time. McFarlane was barely becoming a hot artist at the time too. 1990, it precedes all the relaunches and number ones and all that. And me and my friends were very young. A lot of that Frazetta stuff, I think, was a little bit, little out of touch. Behind the glass type material. We had another, 5 or 6 years to go until we could legally purchase that stuff. California. This is a huge book. Yeah, this stuff's really fun. Yeah, really interesting palette. Real interesting palette here. You could see already utilizing the splatter effects and then coming over it with some dry brush. He's got this desaturated lime green color coming over. Just really good about the push and pull color choices. Really good palette, and also really good at playing off of wash. Like, this is like a I don't even know. It's like a burnt sienna with red and orange, and then he kind of plays off it to create these characters on this panel. So yeah, it'd be real interesting to see these originals. Man, so many panels. Really nice edges too. I'm interested if I've seen some Dave McKean originals where he actually used this thin white. It's a thin white tape and masked off the edge to create that hard edge, so it wasn't like whiteout or paint. And I'm wondering if that was a norm for a lot of these, painterly artists that worked in comics back in the day. Nowadays, you can just go into Photoshop and create a border and thicken it and decrease the stroke of it and whatnot. But yeah, for this stuff here, it's weird. Like, some of the corners, you could see where it does have a little bit of a curve. It's not a very perfect 90 degree, but most of them are. It's really interesting to me. man, it's awesome. Just awesome composition. Great use of negative space right here. Directionally, this here can get confusing. It's almost like these two, if this was angled this way, right through here and right through there. Always like this about Simon too. I try to do this in my own work. A lot of this usage of the like this deleter line right here, where you don't show the transition. It's like your brain tells you, right, as a human, you know visually that this goes into this like liquid and stuff, but doesn't really indicate it through color or any of his tints and tones usage. It's just flat. Mignola does that a lot. I wonder if Mike got some of that, or I wonder if all these artists are pulling from a specific artist who used to do that. Like this fade, I feel like is just sort of something all artists do. I know a lot of, you could point out like, oh, Frazetta used to do that, but it's like, where did they get it? Like, I feel like it's there are certain things that artists will intuitively do, like darkening a leg that's in the back. The light is not present on this leg, but for whatever reason, visually it's pleasing, so we continue to do that, right? A receding item, an item behind a foreground item, and you just black it out. I think it can get overused and become a crutch. But yeah, if you can compensate with come back around the block, and then hit the reader right between the eyes with something really cool, they're quick to forgive the terrible crutch that you rely on as an artist. You see a lot of that. You see a lot of that even today. I can't even say the 90s. You see that today too. Yeah, this is hella dope right here. I really like this whole run of panels right here. Yeah, these pages are just really they're really dynamic, and a lot of forward thinking by Simon in here as far as like what would oh, Jay Lee ripped this. I recognize this. Yeah, Jay was a big Simon influenced artist during the Namor run, and then obviously brought it over to Image during the Youngblood Strike File and the Wildcats trilogy books, and then he decided he wanted to be Bill Sienkiewicz, and then his art style changed, and lost a lot of that kinetic energy that he had, and a lot of the cool anatomy that he was pulling from Simon. I still wish he stuck with it, but artists make up their own mind, right? We're all free agents. We all kind of do what we want to do on the page, and people either accept it or rebuke it. This is really cool right here. So like in Photoshop nowadays, if you were to color a helmet like this dark, like lavender gray, a little bit of light blue, to get this effect with this red, you would actually technically, I think if there was line work lying within the art, the way I would, well, I shouldn't say the way you would, the way I would do it is I would actually create a layer above even the line art layer, and I'd probably set it to like overlay or hard light, maybe 2 or 3 layers of this, and just sort of play around with some airbrush work in here to get this like bright pop. But it's that's the forward type thinking. Most painters, I think, would just come in here and say, oh, the light hits here, so dark gray, light gray, white, right? But Simon came in and dropped some warm hues here against this. You get a secondary color, you get a washed out, this minty color, these like dirty grays, a little bit of purple lavender in here actually, and then again, this kind of stands out here, this little cut, because it's red, right? But the real stark part of this panel right here is that hot spot. That hot spot, he hits you. He's like, you like orange? I got orange for you. It's a really interesting double pager. You can also see a lot of stuff like in here. Uh, some more modern. I'm going to say modern, even including '90s stuff. Uh, a lot like Stephen Platt. Very obviously could have been pulling from here. Like I could see this circa 97, 97, 98. Stephen really didn't start changing his style uh, to conform to more of a Wildstorm style until like I think it was like Prophet. I would say Prophet number 3 of Volume 2. That's when I started personally noticing because I would be in his office all the time and just be really just picking his brain or just talking about TV shows and stuff. Um, yeah, this is interesting. It's interesting. I think that this was recycled later on by Simon in the Lobos back book, I believe. Yeah, this stuff is killer. This would make a great statue right here. Maybe a little more of an upright character, maybe something like this on here. But that would be super dope. Seeing a statue of that. Simon's still running on a full tank. That's another thing you don't see a lot. It's like uh, it's very easy for an artist to kind of lose interest, even in their own projects. This wasn't even his own project, but it's real easy to lose interest. A few dozen pages in, you start feeling a little bit of the wear and tear of the time spent, and very obviously Simon has just got his head in the game. That's what makes you great. If you want to be a great artist, find a new reason to love what you're working on. Find a new reason. I'm not saying a new style, but find a new reason. Find a new angle of approaching your work. This is an awesome panel right here. Really pushing form and structure, and then even with he's keeping it interesting while working in these confined spaces. That can be a challenge as well, but Jay Lee saw this panel before. I know that. I recognize it. Yeah, man, these are fun. This stuff's so fun. If you're a line artist like myself, I've actually been getting a little bit into back into painting and stuff. I did a lot of painting in high school, mostly acrylics, a little bit of uh, I guess I can call them paintings. It was more like oil pastel work, but a little bit of painted work like that, where it looks like an acrylic, but it's not. It's mostly oil pastel. Um, it's good to kind of go back and kind of refresh a bit on that stuff if you are a comic book line artist, and then you'll start to maybe see a little bit of patterns or even textures. You're like, hey, I can incorporate this into my lines, right? Um, you know, constantly you want to constantly add to your arsenal, but your arsenal is only as good it's worth if you actually use it. That is a dope panel right here. I love this. Yeah, so don't just be stockpiling knowledge. You need to put it to use. Definitely see that here with Simon. This is really cool here too. It's almost I like this aesthetic of like the hair has like these hard edge shapes. You can see that's an axe. It kind of blends into the same red, gray, dark black towards the bottom, right? It's like a gradient, but it continues into this area here. This is a very, um, I don't know. It's like an illustrator thing. It's not really like a painter thing. I feel like it's like a like a Bill Sienkiewicz sort of approach, like during this era, you know, 88, 89, 90. It's very cool. I wish Simon would do more books like this. I really do. I wish, like, this kind of stuff with the crazy anatomy, um, the energy behind every shot is just, you don't, I'm not going to say you don't get that nowadays. There's plenty of books that come out on a regular basis that have lots of energy and they have lots of appeal. Um, but this is a different flavor. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a different restaurant. It's like uh, a little more organic than what everything nowadays feels very refined. I personally like the refined, but I like mixing it up. But you don't get a lot of people that just dive in and just let it ride. Um, Completely married to what they lay down on the page, and then that's it, right? Like they're not fixing anything up. I wonder if these were kind of on deadline. These here feel a little bit. I don't want to use the word rushed. Almost like maybe he drew them smaller. I'm not really sure what's going on because a lot of the outlines are a lot thicker than what you saw in the previous pages of the paintings. A lot more stark black areas. I like that blue color that I used for the eyeshadow right there. Pops out really nice against the flesh tone, and then obviously the red cheeks and that. Yeah, this stuff's wild. Little more remote looking than what he's offered in the previous pages. Yeah, I think it's got a little bit of fever dream action going on in these pages here. You know, I just watched a couple videos with him recently, and he had this original behind him. And I think there's actually a video of him either recreating this or actually working on this painted piece. But I know it was this piece. Yeah. So it might have just been a demo. Might have just been working over like an old layout, showing a demo. So, anyways, yeah, that's it for this edition. This is like I said, the 2011 printed 2080 Slaine, the Horned God. A lot of extra stuff back here. I think there are sketchbooks or something. Okay, so you get some of the covers. Couple of the covers. Let's see here. Let's compare them. Okay, so here's this one. I mean, again, they gave a lot of love to the cover printing here. Look how much they cropped off though in this cover. So this was obviously painted for magazine, and they went full bleed here. So you lost. So this is cool to have this because you get to see the other eyeball that was cut off and all that, right? So there's that one, and then I think the other one was issue 5. Here we go. Same difference. Same difference. There you go. You get to see a little bit of the leg there. And then obviously there's more artwork on the back side. They kind of shifted it over this direction for the comic. So that's cool to see that. And then the issue, that looks very different. Whoa, hold on. That looks super different. A lot more teal. A lot more teal. This is like minty. This is minty fresh. This is teal. Yeah, I like this one a lot more. I mean, this is cool too, but I like this one a lot more. The blood and the background stand out a lot more in this reproduction here. And also this here, yeah, you know what? Yeah, he was doing that hot spot method right here on the fur. Okay, and then you get some sketches here. I believe all of this gallery plus these sketches are in that crowdfund edition, just so you guys know, okay? I remember seeing that stuff in there. And I think there's also additional extra stuff that's not in this, in that edition. So if you can get it, I recommend it. But again, this was the 2011 Slaine Horned God by Mills and Bisley. Like I said, and again, you know, this run here, it is a 6-issue series. If you want to seek out the original OG run, um, I would say just get the. I don't know. I would recommend just get a hardcover or a softcover reprint of Slaine. I would go this route versus this route, even if this does happen to be $10 cheaper. Uh, treat yourself. Treat yourself. All right, guys, that's it. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, ding the bells, ring the bells. All right, guys, thanks.